Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Today we are going to discuss the salivary gland tumors. Before this, we have done the inflammatory diseases. If any student has any questions, we have last 10 to 15 minutes for that question answer session. And at the end, so Ayaz bhai, Ayaz bhai, movement, click here. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. We are going to discuss the salivary gland tumors. Earlier, we have discussed the inflammatory conditions of the salivary gland. Now, anatomy and the lymphatic drainage of the salivary gland. Now, the salivary gland, they have the major salivary gland and the minor salivary gland. In the major salivary gland, we can start from the parotid, submandibular, and sublingual gland. The minor salivary gland, they have the parotid gland consists of the parotid gland having the parotid duct which enters in the second molar tooth, and they have the masseter muscles which can involve that the parotid duct which is running over that masseter muscles. And we cut the mucosa, you can see there are the sublingual duct, and there is a submandibular duct and the sublingual salivary glands. There is a mylohyoid muscles, and we cut on that. I can say that there is a submandibular salivary glands. Now, anatomically, the parotid gland, here on that there is a main trunk of the facial nerve which is running on that gland which separates it from the superficial. It divides into the parotid gland into superficial and the deep. From the mastoid process, there is a main trunk, then it comes into having the branches of the facial nerve. Now, the lymphatic drainage having the intraparotid lymph nodes, there are the paraparotid nodes, then you can say superficial cervical nodes, and there is the jugular digestive nodes, air facial node are there, then there is submandibular pre and post-vascular nodes, then the lymphatic drainage are lymph nodes which is running towards the along the lines of the carotid artery and the internal jugular vein. So extensive lymphatic capillary plexus. They have the numerous intraglandular lymph nodes in the superficial lobe. The lymphatic drainage from the lateral areas of the face, frontal regions of the scalp, and associated with the gland are parotid lobe. Now they can drain downward along the retromandibular, they empty into the superficial lymphatics, nodes along the stenoid the mastoid muscles, and upper nodes of the deep cervical chain. There are numerous lymph nodes located within and adjacent to the capsule of the parotid gland that serve as the first node which drainage from the temporal scalp, portion of the cheek, inner and external artery canal. For this reason, the parotid gland may harbor the metastatic drainage malignancy from this size. Now, different lymphatics that from the gland communicate with the lymph node of the upper and the middle deep jugular channels. Now, the parotid gland. Here we can say that in the parotid gland, different levels and the lymphatic area are the lymphatic area. And as a submandibular gland showing the different levels of the neck. So positive leg nodes person with the first presentation according to site in level 1 to level 4. Now, etiology is not identified. Biologically, the submandibular tumors is caused by the viruses such as the Epstein-Barr virus, lymphoepithelial carcinomas, hormones, estrogen and the progesterone receptors, acinar cell carcinomas such as physically they are the physical agents which causing the tumors are the irradiations, are the neutron traffic radiations, dental radiography, and the ultraviolet exposure. Chemicals, rubber manufacturing, plumbing industry, woodwork, asbestos, nickel, and the chromium compound. These are the chemical agents which cause the tumor. Lifestyle, such as the smoking and sometimes the Watkins tumor, it can also be used to be carcinoma of the salivary gland. Now, typical clinical features of the salivary gland tumors, they are divided into two. One is the benign one, the other is the malignant one. In the benign, the tumors they are slowly growing, soft or rubbery in consistency, they do not ulcerate and not associated with the nerve surface. While in the malignant one, they are the fast growing and sometimes when involve the nerves, it becomes bent. Hard in consistency, may ulcerate and invade the bone, and it can also cause the cranial nerve palsies. Now, the neoplastic tumors, we can divide into the benign and the malignant. In the benign, 80% of the periodic tumors they are benign, while the 20% they are malignant. In the submandibular, 40% they are the benign one, and the 60% they are malignant. While in the sublingual glands, in the sublingual gland, the malignancy is 90%, while in the benign it is 10%. So, the sublingual gland they are more malignant, while the parotid gland they are more benign. So, 80% of the parotid gland they are the pleomorphic and they are benign. Now, the WHO classifications of the salivary gland tumors, they are classified into adenoma, these are the benign conditions, carcinomas, and the miscellaneous causes. In the adenoma, we can say that the pleomorphic adenoma, then there is a Watkins tumor, bioepithelioma, then the basal cell adenoma, oncocytoma, canalicular adenoma, sebaceous adenoma, and the ductal papilloma. So the ductal papilloma is further divided into inverted ductal papilloma, intraductal papilloma, and sinoadenoma papilliforme. Then the cystoadenoma. Cystoadenoma is further divided into either medullary one or the mucinous. So medullary cystoadenoma and the mucinous cystoadenoma. Now, when we talk about the carcinomas, the most common is the mucoepidermoid carcinoma. So I have received messages. Uh, Whatever the questions or the queries are there, we can deal at the end. So, so if anybody having the question regarding that topic, we will discuss at the end. So, carcinoma, carcinoma. Further, they are divided into mucoepidermoid carcinoma, adenoid cystic carcinoma, acinic cell carcinoma, then pleomorphis low-grade and adenocarcinoma, epithelial myoepithelial carcinomas, then basal cell adenocarcinoma, sebaceous, sebaceous carcinoma, and papillary cystic carcinoma, further divided into mucinous and the papillary then cerebral duct carcinoma, malignant myoepithelioma, squamous cell carcinoma, small cell carcinoma, and the undifferentiated carcinoma. In the miscellaneous causes which causing the tumor, we have non-epithelial tumors, malignant lymphomas, secondary tumor, unclassified tumor-like lesions such as pseudoadenosis, oncocystosis, necrotizing silent benign lymphoepithelial lesion, salivary gland cyst, chronic sclerosing cholangitis of submandibular gland, cystic thyroid hyperplasia, and acquired immunodeficiency syndrome. So these are the miscellaneous causes which cause the salivary gland tumors. Now, parotid, in the parotid, we can follow the rule of 80. Means 80% of the parotid gland tumors they are benign. 80% of the benign tumor they are the pleomorphic adenoma. 80% of salivary gland pleomorphic adenoma occurs in parotid. So 80% of it occurs in the superficial lobe and 80% if it is untreated, adenoma remains as a benign. So benign epithelial tumors, we can in the parotid, we have the pleomorphic adenoma, myoepithelioma, basal cell adenoma, Wharton's tumor, oncocytoma, follicular adenoma, lymphadenoma. Then we are sebaceous and non-sebaceous papillomas, inverted ductal papilloma, intraductal papilloma, and siloadenoma. Cystic tumors, soft tissue tumors, hematopoietic tumors, and the secondary tumors. Now the classifications of the parotid tumor, they are classified into adenoma. Adenoma is pleomorphic or it is monomorphic. So monomorphic it is Wharton's tumor, and remember that Wharton tumors is always remains in the bilateral parotid regions. So carcinoma, they are the low grade and the high grade. Low grade they are ethnic cell adenoid system. High grade they are the adenocarcinoma and the squamous cell carcinoma. Now, pleomorphic adenoma, most common of all salivary gland neoplasm. 80% of the parotid tumors, 50% of the mandibular tumors, 45% of minor salivary gland tumors, and 6% of the sublingual tumors. So, if it's pleomorphic adenoma, 80% they are common in the parotid tumors. 50% they are common in the submandibular. While in salivary gland tumors it is 45% and the sublingual tumors it is 6%. Commonly they are 4 to 6 decades. Female to male ratio is 1 is to 4 is to 1.4 is to 1. It is female to male ratio. Clinical features they are the panelets, synovial chlorine solids. In the target, both lobes are involved. If only one deep lobe is involved, it is known as a dumbbell tumor. Dysphagia, if deep lobe is involved, deviations and pharyngeal bone, stomach line, can also lead to deeper lobe swelling, cystitis, mandibular tunnel. It can raise the ear level and can be moved beside the meeting. So if the value is not known, we say that curtain science is positive and facial analysis is negative. The investigations FNS. You can perform the FNS is important in the diagnostic one, while open biopsy is contraindicated in the parotid tumors due to chance of injury to the facial nerve and seedling are high chance of recurrence is open biopsy is contraindicated. Other investigations are the CT scan and MRI. Now, pleomorphic are the retroresistance surgeries, enucleation avoided because of the high recurrence. So superficial periodicectomy is recommended. So if it is neoplastic adenoma, we can go for the superficial periodicectomy. Total conservative periodictomy if both groups are released. And we have to preserve the facial nerve. Now, Barthel's tumor are adenolymphoma. Sometimes they begin the questions regarding adenolymphoma, second name of the Barthel's tumor. They are encapsulated exclusively in the parotid gland. They are present on the tail of the parotid, commonly seen between 5th and 7th decade. Male to female ratio is 7 to 1. About 7% of salivary gland tumors usually fluctuate, slow growing. Now 10% they are bilateral, histologically epithelial and the lymphoid elements. They are never malignant and you can do the 5 local excision in the Watkins tumor. Watkins tumor where often has orbital lymphoid and epithelial component. Histologically, it have the capillary projection into cystic space, which is surrounded by lymphoid stroma. Epithelial is double cell layer. One is the luminal cell, another is the basal cells. Stroma, which matures the lymphoid follicles with germinal centers. Unique features they are slow growing, painless, globular mass of fermented gland, firm fluctuations on palpation. Most frequently occurs in the tail of the parotid near the angle of the mandible. They does not exceed 3 to 4 centimeters in diameter. It occurs bilaterally, a unique feature of Barthel's tumor that it occurs bilaterally. The treatment is surgical excision, superficial periodicectomy. Prognosis is excellent. Application recurrence, which is 6 to 12% in the multicentric tumors. It is associated with other salivary tumors. Malignant transformation is very rare. Now, the leukoepidermoid carcinoma having the histological type, leukoepidermoid carcinoma, 24%, adenoid cystic carcinoma, 22%, adenocarcinoma, it is 18%, carcinoma of adenoma, it is 13%, actinic cell carcinoma having 7%, squamous cell carcinoma having 4%. Histological grades of salivary cancers. High grade, they are the leukoepidermoid carcinoma, salivary duct carcinoma, which have the high grade transformation of adenoid cystic carcinoma, carcinoma of pleomorphic adenoma, squamous cell carcinoma, anaplastic undifferentiated carcinoma, and malignant mixed carcinoma. Low or intermediate grade, they are the low grade leukoepidermoid carcinoma, acinic cell carcinoma, pleomorphic adenoma, and epithelial myoepithelial carcinoma. Leukoepidermoid carcinoma, most common salivary gland malignancy, 5 to 9% of salivary neoplasm parotid. It involving 70 to 80% of the cases, most common in the parotid. Commonly occurs in third and eighth decade, peak in the fifth decade. Equally found in the female and the male. It is more common in African American population. Presentation is low grade, slow growing, paleness mass. It's high grade, it is rapidly enlarging, having sometimes having the pain and stain of the positive in the carmides. A little bit but the gross leukoepidermoid carcinoma having the gross pathology well circumscribed to partially encapsulated to unencapsulated, solid to cystic spaces. Epidermoid carcinoma have two major elements. One is the epidermoid and the other is the mucinous component. Adenoid cyst adenocarcinoma. What second most common malignancy, most common in the submandibular gland, submandibular and the mandibular gland, equally found in the male and female, normally in fifth decade. Presentation is asymptomatic, enlarging mass, and having paresthesia, facial weakness, or paralysis. Adenoid cystic carcinoma well circumscribed, solid. Rarely they have a cystic basis. It have the quality of infiltration. Unique features locally aggressive with local recurrence, often after many years. Perineural infiltrations, asymptomatic, large, associated with adenoid cystic carcinoma have three basic growth patterns. One is the tubular, grade 1. Second one is the form, grade 2. And third one is the solid, grade 3. This is the histological features in which is showing that a low power of well differentiated adenoid cystic carcinoma. The form is based on blue mucinous or pink hyaline materials, and the white panel is higher probability of getting bone in the regions. They have also the perineural lesions in clinical features. Locally, less rapidly large masses having sudden changes in its growth pattern, less submucosal mass, minor salivary gland tumors. Regional lymph, they have the pain involving the different structures such as masseter muscles, temporal and pterygoid muscles, muscle ulcerations in the palate, lip, or buccal mucosa. Malignant tumors, the median durations of clinician symptoms are shorter, 3 to 6 months, in compared to benign. Here, the durations of symptoms is longer. It can up to 10 years. Tumor of parotid may involve the base of the skull, causing intractable pain, and the paralysis of various kidney nerves. One third of the parotid cancers may have facial nerve involvement. Deep lobe parotid, tonsillar, and palate ulceration. Sublingual ulceration mask in the floor of the mouth. Now, the clinical presentations of minor salivary gland tumors. They are associated with minor glands because of their diverse location. Most are intraoral. Painless lump is the most common presentation. Tumors of nasal cavity are sinuses. Facial pain is most common, presenting symptoms followed by nasal obstruction. Laryngeal primary tumors most frequently causes harshness or their device changes when it involving the larynx. Now, malignant salivary tumors may have rapid growth rate, pain, facial nerve palsy, can occur in childhood, skin involvement, and they have the cervical lymphadenopathy. Indication: patient with suspected salivary gland pregnancy, complications from infections, abscess, fistula formations, and the cranial nerve deficit. Recurrence are chronic symptoms suspected in plasma for biopsy and the removal of suspected salivary stones, swelling, or infections unresponsive to medical care. Now, the diagnostic workup for this, you can go for the history and the clinical examination. And the physical examination is particular to signs of local physicians or the regional adenopathy. So, if the history suggests shorter duration, rapid growth of the swelling, and the swelling on the physical examinations is fixed, hard in consistency, having the regional lymph node involvement, we can suspect that this swelling is might be malignant. So laboratory investigations and the radiological for the morphological assessment. CT scan evaluate extent of lesions involving the parotid gland, temporal bone, mandibular bone. Can also show the invasion and restrictions. Then we can also do this MRI, which is superior to other modalities. You can go for the metastatic workup as well, go for this chest X-ray, you can go ultrasound of the abdomen, bone scan, and sometimes we can do the PET scan for the stages of to evaluate the stages of this development. So diagnostic workup for the major syllabic MRI is between soft tissue and it can interfere between the tumors and the normal syllabic gland. Then for better images of the parapharyngeal spaces for evaluating the perineural spread, adenoid cystic carcinoma, facial nerve status may be better appreciated on the MRI scan. This is the view of the MRI showing the deep and lobe of the parapet, which is involved by the tumors. Histopathological diagnosis, FNS is a reliable procedure. Sensitivity for malignancy is 80 to 90% and specificity is more than 90%. False negative finding may be seen as a result of lack of representative materials or systems. Ultrasound finding especially is advised. Negative predictive value for malignancy is 70 to 75%. No negative predictive values will be included if MRI or file expressions are combined. Liquid biopsy having the, they are discouraged because sometimes they can lead into transformations of the tumor from stage 2 to stage 4 and stage 1 to stage 4. So that's why they are minus level tumors MRI CT has been validated efficacy in no rule. Biopsy is ideal to show it is unplanned insulin biopsy advised excisional biopsy to cut if they are the minus level no staging. No staging on the cranial classification when the tumor TX tumor cannot be assessed. T not when there is no evidence of cranial tumors. T1 when the tumor is 2 centimeter. T2 when the tumor is more than 2 centimeter but not more than 4 centimeter. And T3 when the tumor is more than 4 centimeter having the extra 10 camera extensions. Then the T4 which is further divided into T4A and T4B. T4A having the moderately advanced diseases and T4B having very advanced diseases. The tumor invade skin base and thyroid plates and the encapsulates the carotid arteries. NS means the internal lymph nodes cannot persist and not emerging lymph node metastasis. N1 is metastasis in the single lymph node. And N2 metastasis in single epilateral lymph nodes more than 2 centimeters, not more than 6 centimeters in dimensions. N2A is having the metastatic in a single epilateral lymph nodes more than 2 centimeters, but not more than 6 centimeters. N2B metastasis in multiple epilateral lymph nodes, none more than 6 centimeters in radius dimension. M2C classification with the bilateral or contralateral lymph nodes, none more than 6 centimeters in the greatest dimension. Metastasis in the lymph node is more than 6 centimeters in greatest dimension. Distinct metastasis, more distinct metastasis, M1 having the distinct metastasis. Stage 1, T1, M0, M0. Stage 2, T2, N0, N0. Stage 3, T3, N0, M0. R T1, N1, M0, T2, N1, M0, or T3, N1, M0. This is stage 3. Stage 4 further divided into T4A, M0, M0, T4A, N1, M0. and T1 N2 N0 are T2 N2 N0 are T3 N2 are N0 T4A N2 are N0 stage 4B T4B NEN are NEN are NET N3 M are stage 4C NET NEN and M. Treatment of surgery, radiotherapy, and the benign and local tumors you can typically do surgery. If it's high-grade carcinoma and those with positive margins or other high risk features, you will need to do surgery, or you can go for the adjuvant radiotherapy. Unresectable tumors are treated with radiotherapy or radiotherapy in combination with chemotherapy. Surgeries. Surgical resection is the principal form of treatment for both benign and malignant surgery. Complete surgical resection is the cornerstone of treatment when this can be achieved with negative surgical margins. Aggressive surgery does not improve the disease-free survival. Facial nerve grafting with greater auricular or sural nerve graft decreases the incidence of facial palsy postoperatively involving facial nerve, especially branches, but not involving the main adjunct postoperative radiotherapy is more negative for the facial nerve functions. So this is the gland having the branches of the facial nerve, the distributions of the facial nerve branches. Surgical options in therapy surgery are local skin, neglection, superficial conservative periodectomy, superficial periodectomy, total and extended periodectomy, and neck dissection. Options in the pelvic surgeries. Neglection was neglection. Neglection is no role in surgical management of surgical. Lemmafic adenoma is pseudoproliferative, almost certainly residual tumor after single procedure, result in frequent relapses. So it's important to avoid manipulation of axial biopsy because it increases the recurrence rate up to 80%, and there should be a damage to the nerve. Superficial conservative periodectomy is a treatment of choice for the tumors in superficial lobe which are not involved in the facial layer. It implies the complete removal of the superficial plan of the facial nerve. It is minimum standard surgical procedure, less extensive than superficial surgery. So, in which you cannot dissect the facial nerve. Total conservative implies the action of interrogated gland while preserving the facial nerve done for the tumors involving the deep lobe intact facial nerve functions. It has the high-grade malignant tumors with high risk for metastasis, any periodic malignancy with an indication of metastasis to intraglandular or cervical lymph nodes, any primary malignancy originating with the deep lobe itself, or if any positive margins after superficial tumor. Total periodicum excision of the facial nerve indications when the nerves involved are the tumor. Radical or extended periodicum when the tumor is extended beyond the periodic gland implies the excision of structures in addition to periodic gland and the facial nerve. So these structures are the skin, infratemporal fossa, muscle, mandible, even the temporomandibular joint are the caras of the biggest unit. For biotic ipsilateral level 1, B2, 3, 4, and 5A. And for the submandibular gland ipsilateral level 1, 2, and 3, these lymph nodes have been dissected. Surgery for submandibular gland with an excision of the submandibular gland, Anesthetic gland depends on the site of the lesion, grade, and extension of disease. Localized low-grade tumors with wide local scenes, larger and high-grade lesions, larger segment tumor, mandibulotomy, partial or total decisions of hard and soft tissue. Superficial periodictomy is recommended in benign tumors confirmed to superficial lobe. We have metamorphic adenoma, full of radiation since 11 evidence of radiotherapy they have on the level 1 or 2. Evidence to support use of radiotherapy. Large number of prospective and retrospective studies. There are guidelines for post-operative Post-operative radiotherapy in the pleomorphic recurrence tumor, positive margins despite of resection. If there is a deep state tumor not amenable to resection, or surgery will sacrifice the facial. In the malignant one, when the tumor having T3 or T4, high-grade tumors such as the microbicate myelosarcoma, malignant tumors, malignant mixed tumors, adenocarcinoma, and squamous cell carcinoma. Close margin chart greater than 5 millimeters, positive surgical margins, tumor adherent invasions to the facial nerve, and tumor involving the bone, connective tissue involvement, and the lymph nodes are positive. After resection of recurrence disease, even with the negative margin. Other indication of radiotherapy is primarily large unresectable tumors, medically, surgical, inoperable tumors, radiation, for the larger tumor, and the tumor having the fungating masses, achieve hemostasis in the latent tumors, and the recurrent tumor exhausted malignant tumor treatment modalities. In these conditions, you can also go for the radiotherapy. So these are the different port of the neck radiations in which you can do. Here one C and not E and not advanced stage high-grade histologically, facial nerve dysfunctions, recurrence, intraparietic tumors, and extended beam radiotherapy technique is conventional three-dimensional conformational radiation therapy, intensity modulated radiotherapy, and the neutron beam radiotherapy. These are so doses from the tumor bed 60 gyran, 2 gyran per day, or 63 gyran 1.8 gyran per day. Or you can go for the neck dissection here. Arches are positive, go for the 60 gyran neck. If they are negative, go for the 50 gyran neck is clinically or radiology. So conventional technique, unilateral anterior and posterior wedge pair of feet, and so lateral field, wedge anterior posterior and posterior lateral, posterior anterior and the lateral techniques. These are the different area where we can go for the radiations in the projective. So unilateral field photon-proton combinations. So homolateral field 12 to 16 electron electrons in combination with protons. 80% doses delivered with electrons and 20% with 6 protons to spare the opposite gland. Reduces the leukocytes and decreases the skin reaction and produces high electrons. If deep lobe is involved, so oppose the proton portal wedge side of needles and the initial. Three-fold field photon techniques, anterior wedge, posterior wedge, and the lateral field. Post-operative radiotherapy adenoid cystic carcinoma is always recommended. Post-operative radiotherapy for entire body of adjacent cranial nerves to the base of the skull is recommended. When the original lymph node is 15%, elective radiation is not distant. Surgery around the local resection 25%, 40%, and if it is combined with the radiotherapy, then the prognosis is 75 to 50%. Now, submandibular gland tumor surgical excision with the post-operative radiotherapy. Elective radiation, technical consultations are similar. iron field may be required for the tumor extensions towards the midline. So 50 Garon 5 leads from microscopic business, 60 to 66 Garon and 6 to 6.5 leads if it involves the perineal invasion. Minus level glands varies with the local location, surgical excision, where tongue, floor of the mouth, or the degree of oropharynx incisions. Posterior cavity, afferent eyes, invite, region, inaccessible, and almost digital radiation therapy. Slow rate of progression of advanced level gland tumors, go for the neutron therapy, and the 10 years original control program to pass 7%, 17% after proton therapy, and 56% after radiation. So let morbidity was somewhat higher for the So this is all about parotid gland. We discussed the inflammations in the earlier lecture. Now in today's discussion we have done the classifications of the parotid tumors, different varieties of the parotid tumors, their etiologies, their histopathological variations, and then we have discussed the clinical features, the diagnostic modalities, and then we have the different surgical options from that parotid tumors.
As भाई
Question answers. Any questions here? One by one, we can ask the questions. So anybody have any questions regarding the parotid tumors?
so because anybody here सतत ये सब बढ़िया रहता है ना ये फौरन रिकॉर्डिंग कहानी कंटिन्यू